Welcome to Friday Night Blitz. We're live from Dugan Memorial Field in Herculaneum, Missouri, home to the Herculaneum Blackcats. The Jefferson Blue Jays are in town for a conference matchup here as we get things rocking and rolling here. Ray Halbrook, Scotty Latta, Jefferson coming in here 1-1 on the season, and Herculaneum still trying to find their very first win.
If you go to the rivalry side of this is always a game they circle on the calendar. But it's the home field, and with the possibility of rain coming in, this could turn into a slugfest down in the trenches.
So we're going to have to do a good job of getting to the football, wrapping up, taking guys to the ground, and not giving them the opportunities to break loose. Up front, they're big, and they got a couple kids that are super strong. So we're going to have our hands full. But again, it's another opportunity for us. So we're going to have to come out from the start of the first whistle and play both sides of the ball, not just one. And we're going to have to be – I think we have to be a lot more physical than we have been, especially.
And he's going to keep it up the middle, and Frisk goes in untouched for the first 6 points of the game. So quarter number one, our first touchdown goes to the Blue Jays. Under center, three backs. Handoff, and they're going to get it. And they're going to go to the house. Number 30 breaks free. 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown, Black Cats. How about that? Braden Mattingly on a 4th and 2. Rumbles 60 yards. Snap, handoff, running right, cuts it up. Oh, spin move, and he's going to break back to the right, and it's a foot race down the sideline. Number 1, and guts, all the way to the house. Number 1, what a move. Carson Hafner. That was nasty. Frisk, handoff. Oh, that's too easy right there. That is a touchdown. Number 1, Carson Hafner. So you defend from the goal line up at this point because they've got to get a touchdown. Frisk drops back, throws it, and there is a, oh my God, did he pull it away from him? He did. Wow. Ussery had it over the defender. It looked like it was going to be mutual possession, but then Ussery just pulled it away for the touchdown. And at the 43, oh, bad snap. Waddell, he couldn't get it, and it's picked up and saved the tackle. And they're calling this still a live ball. There's no way that's a live ball. It is a fumble recovery for a touchdown by number 76. There's no way that can stand. Wyatt Place with the fumble recovery of the fumble recovery. So final score here, the Jefferson Blue Jays 35, the Herculaneum Blackcats 7. This has been a presentation of Friday Night Blitz on Livestream STL.
Well, good Monday to everybody, and welcome to another episode of Upon Further Review. Week 3 is on deck here, and if you haven't checked out Upon Further Review, we review last week's games. We'll review next week's games. We'll crown a player of the week and some honorable mentions. And before I get started, Ray Halbrook from Livestream STL, how you doing today? Thank you for being with us. And our panel of people, Mr. Matt Bates in the middle and Mr. Jeff Whitener on your right. Gentlemen, how's it going? Matt, how are you, sir?
All the better for your asking. Thank you, Raymond.
And Jeffrey, how are you?
Just monkeying around a little bit today, Ray.
I see how you do. You work there, my friend. And without further ado, we will get things started right now here with our Week 3 results. Let me go through them real quick here. Jefferson takes down my Herculaneum Blackcats 35-7. Festus 49, Windsor 14. Eureka beats Hazelwood Central 37-0. Hillsboro beats Washington 37-7. North County takes down DeSoto 42-14. Cuba beats Grandview 27-19. St. Vincent beats Perryville 29-15. Bayless takes down Crystal City 34-30. St. Pius X takes down Knobnoster 22-14. Fox beats Rittner 19-6. Summit beats Oakville 28-25, and to round things out, Seckman beats Northwest 41-7. Let's talk about the Jefferson Herculaneum game to start here, guys. And that was a game that I was at. Looked like it was going to be a really good game, and I know we've talked a little bit off the camera here about this particular game. I'm going to start with Jeff because Jeff had some great things to say about this particular game being a little deceptive as far as the score is concerned.
Well, yeah, the final score 35-7. We had those torrential on and off rains at times. I don't really think with the new field at Herky that really affected play a lot as far as, throwing the ball or running the ball. There were a few times where the ball was squirting around because it was wet. We had the scoop and score by Jefferson, but take that scoop and score out, take the miraculous catch by Aiden Ussery out on 4th and forever in the end zone, and this game was much closer. You had a game that featured two dynamic performances from tailbacks and Mattingly in Herculaneum and Hafner in Jefferson, and that was really the sort of the marquee of the game. Herculaneum, I think, has found their feature back, and I think they're going to be able to, as long as he stays healthy, ride the Mattingly horse here for quite a while through the season. They've got a tough test this week in St. Vincent, but I think they're definitely trending in the right direction. Now, Jefferson, the loss of Carson Hafner in that game is going to be big for them. He's their number one feature back, and we don't know how long he'll be out, and we can go ahead and say what the injury is because they've made it public. He has a cracked tibia and fibula, and he'll be working hard to try to mend up and get back by the end of the season. But somebody's going to have to step up in the Jefferson lineup, whether that's Landon Weiss, Aiden Kinch, one of these guys. They've got a couple of freshman backs that are pretty good as well. So we'll see if they fill that role by committee or how they're going to go about that. But that is a big loss for R7 for sure.
Absolutely. Matt, your thoughts?
I was just looking at the day that Hafner had. I mean, when you look at 10 carries, 133 yards, the TD, the 2 receptions, 45 yards. And then you compare that to the day that Cooper Frisk had, where he carried the ball 19 times and was only able to muster 52 yards. So you look at what Hafner did, making the most of his 10 touches in the backfield. I mean, the Blue Jays team rush of 318 yards. I'm sure any coach at any level would take that with a rushing game of over 300 plus. But you look at the Herky offense and the job that Braden Mattingly did. You look at 17 carries, 182 yards, and then you look at all the other receiving yards, return yardage. I mean, he finishes the day with 266 total, and to go with 4 tackles. So, I think Coach Boss has found a new weapon or a new bullet in his chamber, as you would say. That again, when you're 0-2, setting up 0-3 now, that really, if that's what it takes, is to just kind of put everybody's name in a hat, shuffle it up, and kind of just empty it out like Yahtzee dice, and just see where we can match and put people at. Maybe that's what we got to do. Because I know we were talking about the Tanner Duncan effect, and when you look at what Mattingly's done, you take those wins and you try to figure out how you move.
Good evening and welcome to week number 3 of Friday Night Blitz on Livestream STL. Tonight we are on the Orange Channel and live from Imperial, Missouri. Our matchup tonight is between a pair of undefeated teams as the 2-0 Festus Tigers make the trip up north to take on the 2-0 Windsor Owls. Matt Bates here with you tonight alongside producer Drake Beekman. Drake, good to have you along for the ride again this week.
I would love to say that we could eliminate a lot of errors, by tomorrow and come out and play a perfect game. And if that happens, then I feel pretty good about things. But we're just going to have to weather the storm and see what happens and play 48 minutes of football and see what the outcome is. It'll be a good test for us. It'll be good to let us know kind of, where we're okay, where we need to work on some things. But other than that, it's week 3, and, for us, it's about getting better. It's about the Windsor Owls. It's not about the Tigers. So we're just going to go from there.
Lontre Williams to the left of quarterback Smith. We'll go over the defense here just a second. There's a handoff, goes around the end. Williams gets out to the 25-20, 15-10. Give him 6. 36-yard run for Lontre Williams. The punt, see if they put any pressure on this time. Not much. Nice punt by Black. Is going to back him up. Almost mishandles it. Back to the 29. Breaks outside to the 40. 45. Gets it out to the 50. 45-40. 35-30. 25-10. 5. Give him 6. At least right now, 70-yard run punt return. Bates in the backfield to the left of Essien Smith. No, that's Yates, Camden Yates, number 3. He breaks out. He's going to get the first down and more around the 30 to the 20. 10-5. Give him 6. Number 3, Camden Yates. See where they officially mark it at, but clock is still running. 10:45 now left to go till halftime. Handoff. Williams spins out of the tackle of Wilson. Give him 6. So went from the 15 to the 1. Give him a gain of 14. Probably going to go back to him to get him the 6. And they will. Just like that. 1-yard TD run for Lontre Williams. All my paperwork and game notes out of the way as there's a healthy pouring coming into the box now. Here's 34. There's Shermer. He's going to get the ball. He's over 25-20, 15-10. Give him 6. Mason Shermer on the carry. That looks like it's a 34-yard TD run. Varsity time now is going to be number 88, Gallon Hall, the sophomore. Handoff to Yates. Yates breaks out of 1, breaks out of 2, down to the 30, 25-20, 15-10 to the 5. Give him 6 as the rain picks up. And stick it in at least one time here. They're going to give it up to Wilson right up the gut. He's going to break through. He goes in. Give him 6. Logan Wilson into the end zone. Haneke nearest us. Coleman goes in motion. They give the ball to Coleman on the end around. He gets to the 5. Gets into the house. Give him 6. Willie Coleman the 3rd. 30 seconds and counting. Snap back, and the Tigers will take a knee, and that is how we are going to finish up this wet one here tonight.
Let's move on to the next game here. That is the Festus Windsor game, 49-14 in Festus' favor. We'll start with Matt. That was your game.
Well, I'll tell you what. You've got a multi-layered running back system over there at Festus, and I believe I might have said it during the broadcast that they've got kind of like a 1A, 1B offense. You've got the 1A offense that they roll out using Essien Smith at quarterback, and then they got the 1B offense they roll out where they use Parker Perry at quarterback, and they can run a mix of about 4 different backs, and as you see, Lontre Williams at halftime had 5 rushes, had 82 yards and 3 TDs. That was just at half. And he came out and only had a couple touches in the third quarter before the heavens opened up. But he finishes the night, nine carries for 109 yards and 3 TDs. I mean, and this was also, you have Camden Yates, who had 4 carries for 80 yards. So when you're looking at a team that, they had 13 total carries for 189 yards collectively as a team rushing. And that's, when you're averaging over 10, 11 plus yards on your ground game, those minimal touches, they just torched, would be probably the best adjective used. They just torched Windsor's defense. And it was the holes created by the front five, though. So give them credit that, they were opening up the holes, or, holding up the ends on the end arounds, that they were making those off tackle runs. But I don't want it to go unnoticed that, Shermer on defense with the 17 total tackles and Owen Gardner with 12 total tackles. So those two guys alone totaling up to 29 tackles. There's a guy from Windsor I'd like to mention, not as like an honorable mention, but like a badge of valor. That would be Logan Wilson. That young man, when you've got Shermer, you've got Aiden Clifton, Owen Gardner. I mean, when he was getting hit and wrapped up, there's 5-6 guys that every play, it just seemed religiously, they were just teeing off on this young man. And I dare say, coming up when we talk about next week's games, your guys like your Connor Sieberts, your Eli Tebows, you're going to have to be ready if you're in the running game, because when these guys tee off, it does seem like a lot on the solo side, but when you're averaging 17 tackles, 14 tackles, that's a lot of gang wrap up and big boy football coming right at you. So it was a job well done. And the 71-yard punt return that David Russell had, just don't want that to go unnoticed as well, too, because that's another TD on the stat sheet that now that Festus has finally put some of their stats available out online, I mean, he just fielded the punt at the 29, and he just went off like a rocket right up the middle and took it to the house. So I'll let you guys, if you saw something else in the game, bring us up to speed.
Jeffrey.
Well, Matt, when the times when you weren't getting drenched out there in the press box and that tropical depression that you were under there, and I was able to tune in, what really impressed me with Festus was the overall speed. And you used the word torch, and I think that is absolutely correct. Windsor came into this game, and even during the game, they were game. They didn't give up. They were trying to deal with Festus blow for flow, pop for pop there. But what really stood out for me was the overall speed of Festus. And you talked about the offense, 1A, 1B type of thing. Coach Ofadale is doing a great job of looking at the talent structure of the players that he has on his team and figuring out a way to put them in roles in situations where they're going to be successful. And I think that's been the key for Festus so far this year. They finally got a game where they came out, started off strong. And I think that's another big plus for them as well. But, yeah, Shermer has been a beast on defense. We can't say it enough. This is a young man who's got a D1 commit to play baseball. Yet his senior year, he is still stepping up and playing football, risking a career injury. So I got to give him a lot of respect and a lot of kudos for that. Now, Shermer and Wyatt Kime tied for the county league in solo tackles and very, very close 1-2 in the county in total tackles. So great overall game for Festus.
Good evening and welcome to Friday Night Blitz. We are here at Eureka High School in Eureka, Missouri for the Eureka Wildcats. They will be facing off against the Hazelwood Central Hawks. This is Brian Kaplinger. Alongside of me is Charles Partney as well.
Yeah, just kind of same as it's been the last few weeks. Come out and play good Eureka Wildcat football. Control the ball on offense, do what we need to do. Limit the execution errors on offense defensively. Just be, aggressive and handle ourselves, and then just being smart on special teams and just really being three phases sound and asking our guys to go out and finish and do things the way that they know how to do it.
Man, because he can spin one quickly. Quick pass. This one's going to be to Ringy, and it's going to go for a touchdown. And so Eureka strikes early with the first 6 on the board. About a 13. I will mark it as 13-yard touchdown pass from Hobelman to Ringy. So Hobelman with the snap. He's going to hand off to Kodak. He's going to bust up the middle. They're not going to be able to stop him as he just skirts right on into the end zone for yet again another touchdown for the Eureka Wildcats. And so they push their lead to 22-0. Hutchcraft to pass, pumps, backs up, sets his feet, sends a strike down the field, floats this one, but Ringy's going to come back and make the catch over the defender. I don't want to say it, but ESPN has a big play about you just got mossed, and Ringy just said, you know what, I'm going to go up and take this one away.
Literally right out of his hands.
Right, sure interception on the defensive side, but Ringy comes back and says, I'll take that, and then I'll take it for 6. So they're back to the line quickly. It's going to be another handoff, and this time Gustafson's going to be untouched into the end zone for the 1-yard touchdown run for Cade Gustafson. So one more kneel down for the Wildcats, and they will walk away with a 37-0 shutout. There it is as Hobelman kneels it out, and the Wildcat offense runs back to the field. And the final score again, 37-0 Eureka over the Hazelwood Central Hawks.
Moving on to our next game here. It is going to be the Hazelwood Central Eureka game. Eureka comes out on top 37-0. Matt, let's get your take on that particular game.
Well, as we normally talk about the Kodak moments, I would say, when you look at the stat line, 8 rushes, 50 yards doesn't really jump off the page at you, but I think it's the halfback pass going 1 for 1 and a 59-yard TD pass that now, however the St. Louis area calculates their quarterback rating, he now has a quarterback rating of like 549.111. Wow. So even though he doesn't qualify for the area lead, he is lighting up his own personal QB rating. But speaking of QB ratings, Hobelman is, and this is what I say, when you look around our area and the running game, it is obvious that the Jefferson County schools, and even kind of touch as you move north, touch as you move south, is very run heavy. And in the top 50 area passers, Hobelman is 49th. And that's the only coverage area quarterback that we have that's even in the top 50 to show you in total yards. And it's 353 total yards of passing. And he only, right now, heading into week 4 after 3 games, is averaging about 130 yards a game. And that only gets you to 49th. So, just shows you like how you have to throw the ball around or be ready for those defenses when those other St. Louis schools come into town to play.
Absolutely. Jeffrey, your take here.
Well, Matt, just to further your point, we talk about Hobelman, we talk about Kodak, we talk about the big offensive lineman Lang. We talk a lot about that offense, and yes, Casey Hobelman leading the county, in passing ratio. And they've got a few weapons that allow them to do that. But the key stat that for Hobelman that stands out is he is yet to throw an interception. Very smart with the ball, smart decisions, willing to throw the ball away when necessary rather than a risk throwing it into double, triple coverage situations. So that's one thing that really impresses me about Hobelman. But to me, the key to the success, and that doesn't get talked about enough, is the Eureka defense has been smothering. They're averaging right now only giving up 7 points a game after 3 games. And if you do that every week, you're going to be highly successful. And that right now they've been able to clamp down teams. Now we'll see how things go next week. They're going to be at Fox, a game that they are probably, most likely picked to win that game. And we'll see how they do up there in stopping the Fox running game.
let's take a look at some of the other games here, guys. Let's take a look at that Hillsboro game, that Hillsboro-Washington game, and I know Hillsboro fans have got to be thinking, okay, the panic button, I can take my hand off the panic button now, but they go 1-2 now, but they've had 3 really tough games here, Matt.
Yeah, I think Coach put that schedule together by design to give the boys a tough test, and so holding the Washington offense to only 143 yards a total based on what I've seen at least published so far. So great job at least by the Hillsboro D to just smother Washington, because that was really a game that I had mentioned last week that if Hillsboro kind of gets caught like oh woe is me licking their wounds at 0-2, Washington could have come down and snuck one at the Hawks' nest, but it did not appear to be that way. And I would say, let's just take our foot off the panic button at the moment and see how they go about business next week.
Exactly. Jeffrey.
Well, yeah, Matt took the words out of my mouth there, focusing on the defensive effort by the Hawks against a pretty decent Washington team. So, I mean, this was not an easy win, and they pretty well dominated Washington, from probably the second half on in that game. It's interesting. Like you said, Coach Saharsky, put together a tougher schedule this year, front-loaded the schedule with some pretty challenging teams for Hillsboro. However, they're going to be fine. There's no reason to panic with them right now. Now, they do have a very interesting test this week at home against North County, and North County is up this year and has improved quite a bit over their last few seasons. So they'll have a really good test coming into Hillsboro next week.
Absolutely. Let's talk about North County here. They took down DeSoto 42-14. Jeff, let's start with you.
Don't have a lot of information about this game other than the fact that North County, like I said, they have improved quite a bit. We don't know, they haven't played, their conference, a big conference schedule yet. They've got DeSoto coming in, they'll have Hillsboro at Hillsboro. They handled DeSoto fairly easily last week. That wasn't unexpected. So they're kind of an enigma to me right now. Obviously, no, they don't post stats up here in our area, and unfortunately, in the business that we're in, no stats, no spotlight, guys.
There it is, Matthew.
Well, I'll back you up here, Jeff. Landon Whitfield, he's kind of like running back number 2 on their depth chart. He had 101-yard rushes. Now 62 of that came on one TD pop that he had. Their primary back, Aaron Cook, 20 touches. He had 112 for 2 TDs. So your 1-2 punch in the backfield collectively got you almost 225 yards of rushing. Their quarterback, McClure, had a modest day. I mean, you look at 4 of 6 for 55, doesn't really jump off the page at you, but the 2 passing TDs kind of remind you of a passing total of like what a Seckman would reel off on you. But DeSoto gave them a fight, and again, they never quit and made that very interesting at the end. But as again, Coach Schmidt would tell you, turnovers, as any coach would tell you, you got to clean up your own backyard, and when you're giving the other team, 20 points off of turnovers, and they capitalize on those mistakes, that's very, as I say, very easy coachable, very easy teachable moment that, we take care of the ball. We put our own points up. We can be more effective than us turning the ball over and having you put more points up. So, essentially, North County beat DeSoto just basically on points off of turnovers.
Exactly. Name of the game is to score more points than the other team, right? All right, moving on. Yeah, let's move on. I'm just going to let
frowned upon.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on. I'm just going to have you guys pick here. We're going to do maybe 1 or 2 more of these here, and call it a week for week 3 here. Jeff, let's start with you.
St. Vincent Perryville game. Perryville led that game throughout most. St. Vincent had to scramble to come back and win that game at Perryville, which was, that was almost upset special for the week. We saw St. Vincent dominate the first couple of weeks of the season, and I was sure that they would dominate against Perryville. So kudos to the Perryville Pirates. Crystal City loses on against Bayless. That was a highly entertaining game, evenly matched game. Bayless wins it on a scoop and score for a touchdown. The game that really stood out to me, and I was able to watch this one in its entirety Saturday night, was the Grandview Cuba game. Wyatt Kime was all over the place for Grandview. 105 yards, 16 rushes. On offense, 19 tackles, including 15 solo in that game against Cuba. But Cuba is going to be a problem for teams as they won that game 27-19 over Grandview. Cuba has a very big front four on offense and defense, and they were able to wear the Eagles down from a physical standpoint as that game went on. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with them rolling into Jefferson next week.
Matthew.
Yeah, I totally agree, Jeff. Looking at that as well, too. And, Brandon Martin, the 5 of 9, 131, 2 TDs, solid day slinging the ball around the team, 300 collective plus yards of offense. So I just also wonder how much of that game being on a Saturday, once again, it's just kind of one of those odd duck things that takes you out of your normal routine, having to drive all the way out to Cuba to game. So it's, not like Grandview just took a short trip down to Perryville. They had to, bus about a 3.5 hour ride out to Cuba. So not sure how much of that played into that as well. But back to the Crystal City Bayless game. Yeah, the Hornets were up 22-14 at the half. Then all of a sudden the Broncos they hung up a 20 spot in the second half. And the Hornets just had no answer for that. But you get my favorite Italian dish, the Rico Pastrana, 24 carries for 139 yards, no TDs, but does get 6 points out of 3 2-point conversions. So, again, when you look at 24 carries for 139 yards, no TDs, it's like, we're drives stalling around the 15, 20 yard line where, having a kicking game, if you could knock 3 down every now and then, those extra points would have come into play. I mean, 2 field goals makes it a 36-34 ball game.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Matt, give me one more game here. I'll give you the schedule here.
Might as well just hit the Seckman Northwest game. I mean, you had Northwest coming in looking to go 3-0. Staunch test against Seckman. Seckman do what Seckman do. Brady Ambrose, 11 of 7, 11 rushes, 76 yards, 2 TDs. Modest day, but collectively, 401 yards total for the young man. Puts him 11th in the area in rushing. So something to be said about that. I mean, the team as a collective unit, 340 yards. That's typical Seckman stuff with only 88 yards of passing. So, but as I continue on, the bugaboo, if there is one blemish on this Seckman team, PATs, they only went 1 for 5, kicking them through the uprights, which would now put Connor Day 5 for 14 on the young season thus far. So that's 9 points at least that Seckman, can't account for, missing those extra points.
Yeah, Matt, and that at this point in the season, that doesn't seem like a big deal, but that could be very crucial as we head down the road, especially when the Jaguars get into district play. That 340 yards total rushing that Seckman was able to put up, that was with 6 different players, so pretty impressive there.
After Friday Night Blitz, check out the Friday Night Blitz postgame at 10 p.m. Our Friday Night Blitz announcers will catch up with coaches from around the area and grab some postgame interviews to cap off another Friday night football frenzy. That's the Friday Night Blitz postgame show at 10 p.m. on Livestream STL. It is now time for our Upon Further Review Player of the Week, and it is none other than Luante Williams from the Festus Tigers. Luante, how you doing, my friend?
Good. How are you?
Good, good, good. Hey, what a day at the office Friday night. 109 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. You had a pretty good day at the office. Tell us a little bit about the game Friday night.
No, I just wanted to get things going early for the team, and the O-line blocked it up perfectly for me, so I was able to make plays.
Nice. Very, very nice. Real quick, this season you guys are already 3-0. You guys have been, just kind of coasting, it seems like, scoring a lot of points. What has been the MO this season with Coach O? What's he trying to continuously, preach to you guys week in and week out?
Put our best out on the field at all times.
Very nice. Very, very nice. Now we were talking a little bit before the interview here. You have aspirations to go to college, but you don't have any place picked out yet, but definitely something in the future, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Last question for you. We'll let you go here. You've got DeSoto on the board this Friday here. We'll be out there covering that for you guys. And what's been the MO from Coach this week for the DeSoto Dragons?
They have unique challenges for us this week, and we just got to lock in and do what we can do.
Well, there you go. Try to do. Oh, he knocked it over again. we knocked it over during warm-ups here, so no big deal. But hey, you're the player of the week, and congratulations, and have a good week this week.
You too. Thank you.
All right, Luante Williams from the Festus Tigers. It is now time for our honorable mentions segment, and they are this week. Wyatt Kime from Grandview, 16 rushes, 105 yards, 1 touchdown, and 19 tackles on the night. Not a bad night. Crystal City's Ricardo Pastrana. We talked about the pastrami sandwich there. It's 24 rushes, 139 yards, 3 2-point conversions. Not 1, not 2, but 3. Herculaneum's Braden Mattingly. He had a great night. 17 rushes, 182 yards, 266 total yards. And then Jefferson's Carson Hafner, who was injured halfway through the game there. Still not too bad of a day before getting injured there. 19 rushes, 133 yards, 2 touchdowns, 215 total yards. Let's start with Jeff.
Well, I think it's really interesting when you look at the honorable mentions this week, guys. 3 out of those 4 players that are honorable mentions won this honorable mention award on a losing team this week. So it wasn't for their lack of effort for sure. The injury to Carson Hafner, obviously, and that's a program that I'm obviously close to. That's and I talked about how it really hurts the team, but I feel so badly for this young man. Finally, in his senior year, healthy, starting in the backfield, getting a chance to really prove what he can do when given an opportunity, and now to have this happen. He was having a magnificent game. He was very smart running the ball, how he was able to follow his blockers. And, I'm sure that if he were to remain healthy in that game, that he would have put up numbers very similar to Mattingly in that game for Herculaneum. But unfortunate break, not only for him, but for the Blue Jays moving forward as well.
Matthew.
Well, Jeff took most of the words right out of my mouth. I had seen the same thing too. Like 3 of our 4 nominees coming off, the wrong side of the ledger. But I think the other thing to note is, if you just wadded all these up and spit them out, you would come up with almost, it looks like the same totals for all these backs, and it just shows how well these teams, prepare individually. I look at those 4 selections that we have there, and the other thing to note is they're all from small schools. Mm-hmm. We're not like cherry picking, just like a whole honorable mention list of like Eureka's and Seckman's, because some teams are like 6A, some teams are undefeated. You look at the 4 that we have listed there, And you look at a team like a Grandview, once again, outfitting like 14, 15 kids on their roster. Same with Crystal City. And 2 of your 4 nominees come from those 2 programs. So something to be said about the effort and at least the collective effort you see in the county, whether you're a large school or a small school. But I think it also shows that, I'll just be flat out, games that we don't watch, that we're not privy to, that, we're not, again, just cherry picking, the best of the best. I think for us, when you see our collective analysis, for us to basically come up with, if we had to throw out 6 names, I bet, like we showed here, we got about 4 out of the 6 right. So I think there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, and Matt, just to back up on that, piggyback on that, these small schools, small rosters, guys playing both ways, a lot of guys never coming off the field at all. Take it from an old guy. Those guys are in the best shape they're ever going to be in their life right now.
That's true. Lots of truth to that. It is now time for our week 4 schedule, and it is as follows. DeSoto is at Festus on Livestream STL. North County at Hillsboro on Livestream STL. Eureka at Fox on Livestream STL. In other games, Clayton at Windsor. Herculaneum is at St. Vincent. Grandview is at Principia. Cuba is at Jefferson. Perryville at Bayless. St. Pius X is taking a trip to Senatobia, Mississippi. Say that 10 times fast. And Seckman takes on Melville. Webster Groves is at Northwest, and Confluence is at Crystal City. That is a mouthful, guys. And let's talk about our games of the week here, and we'll just kind of go in whatever order you want there. We'll start with Matt.
Well, I'm just looking at the 3 games that we have as a collective unit, and you talk about some big boy football in the area that's going to get it on. DeSoto, they're just going to need to buckle up the chin straps and make sure they've got everything battened down, because after seeing Festus up and close last week, they're not going to show any mercy on any of the backs for DeSoto. So if you're wearing green and white, or white and green, depending on what scheme they want to go with, you just better make sure you've got everything buckled up and accounted for. Same thing's going to be said for North County, Hillsboro. Be doing that game, see North County up close. And then you look at the Fox game that I'm telling you right now, Fox Eureka, you talk about some big boys getting ready to get after it. So I would say that trifecta of games, there's really like no wrong answer. But if, you like, seeing yours truly and his beautiful face, you'll tune into the North County Hillsboro game.
Did he just give a shameless plug for himself? Are you kidding me? Matt, we are deeming you now Matt, yours truly Bates. That's exactly what we have to do from now on. So yours truly right here. Here he is right there. So Matt, nice plug. I like it. There we go. Other way, Jeff. You got to go like this. Yeah. So, all right. He's got it. There you go. All right. Jeffrey, your thoughts on some of these games here?
Well, as far as our 3 games goes, yes. I agree. I want to watch Matt Bates call the North County Hillsboro game. I want to see. Now, that game to me is the best matchup that I'm most intrigued by, to see really what North County has at this point, coming in 3-0 against Hillsboro. They haven't been able to get over the hump against the Hawks over the last few years, but who has really?
Right.
And this is a pretty good litmus test for the Raiders walking into Hillsboro on a Friday night. That is pretty intimidating. Eureka and Fox, I don't know that game's going to be close, but it's going to be entertaining. It's going to be hard hitting. There's going to be a lot of leather slapping in that game for sure. So of those games, our 3 live stream games, those are the ones I'm really interested in.
Okay, let's take a look at the other games here real quick. I've got, I think the next best looking game there to me, Cuba and Jefferson could be an intriguing game. It could very well be an intriguing game, because I know you mentioned, Jeff, the physical upfront for Cuba on offense and defense. So that could give the Blue Jays a little bit of problems, even though they're at home.
Right. I think that, normally I would say to you, this is a classic size versus speed matchup in Cuba and Jefferson. But now Jefferson's got one less arrow in the sling there. So with the loss of Hafner this week. So it'll be interesting to see who steps up, how Coach Atlee modifies that offense to be able to get the most out of his team, put those guys in positions where they're the most successful. But the offensive and defensive lines are going to have big games this week against Cuba. And that's really what I'm going to be watching. Obviously, I'm a big fan of that trench warfare, as Matt can attest to.
Yeah, Matt, go ahead.
Well, I'm looking at. I want to see how Herky responds to St. Vincent. That's what I'm looking at. How does Mattingly and company, how do they go about business this week? And I totally agree about the Cuba Jefferson game, and especially now with Grandview coming off the loss to Cuba, they have to go to Principia, and not knowing a whole lot about them, it'd be nice to see how the Eagles respond. And really, I kind of have the other one I've got highlighted is like Confluence at Crystal City. You got a group from up in St. Louis making the trip down to take on the Hornets. So would be nice to see how, Crystal City responds after, taking a tough one on the chin against Bayless last week. That, as Coach Sim said, that was a one game. But as you saw in the DeSoto game, as you hear now in the Crystal City game, turnovers and the points off of those are just a kill.
Yep. I'm going to go out here on a limb, and I need to look at something real quick before I put my foot in my mouth. It's time for Ray's bold prediction again, and my bold prediction.
Uh-oh.
Here it comes. Let me look at this. I just need to look at a quick schedule here real quick. There it is. Yes, I'm going to go with it. Here it is right here. Bold prediction. Northwest is going to be 3-1 after this week. They're going to beat Webster Groves, and they're going to feel really good about themselves. And I'm going to get a call from Scott Gerling again saying how great his team's playing. So bold prediction from Ray here on this week's episode of Week 3 of UFR. So that's all we have for today, and appreciate everybody being on and checking out our content from time to time. Here again, don't forget our content on livestream.stl.tv and on Roku. Download the Livestream STL app on Roku. For Ray Halbrook, for Matt Bates, for Jeff Whitener, we will see you later this week, and we'll hope to see you next week here on Upon Further Review. Thanks for watching today's broadcast. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without the express written consent of Livestream STL is strictly prohibited.